Hello. In the previous session of data communication and networking lecture series, we have seen the topics tunneling and fragmentation from the unit network layer. Now in this session, we are going to continue with the next topic, which is the IP protocol. Now the IP protocol and IP standards and IP classes are very important to understand the network layer rules. Nowadays, IPv4 versions we are using for internet data transmission. Nowadays, IPv6 versions are also being analyzed to give the large number of users for the network access. So what is IP, that is what is internet protocol? What are the standards for that? What does the classless routing or class full routing addressing means? That we will see in this session. So let's start with that. Now first of all, what is IP? So IP is a glue that holds the whole internet together, is the network layer protocol, and it is also known as internet protocol. An appropriate place to start our study of the network layer in the internet is the format of IP datagrams themselves. An IP datagram consists of a header part and a text part. The header has 20 byte fixed part and a variable length optional part. The header format is shown is in the figure. It is transmitted in a bit order from left to right with the high order bit of the version field going first. This is the IPv4 header structure which is shown in the figure. Here the first IPv4 is of 32 bits. That means this header structure is of 32 bits. In this, the first field is the version field. The version field keeps the track of which version of the protocol to the datagram belongs. By including the version in each datagram, it becomes possible to have the transition between versions which take years with some machines running in the old versions and the other running in the new one. Currently, a transition between IPv4 and IPv6 is also going on. But as of now, we are seeing for the IPv4, that is IP version 4. Since the header length is constant, a field in the header, that is IHL, is provided to tell how long the header is in 32-bit words. The minimum value here is 5, which applies when no options are present. The maximum value of this 4-bit field is 15, which limits the header to 60 bytes, and thus the options field is to 40 bytes. For some options, such as one that records the route a packet has taken, 40 bytes is too small, making that option useless. The type of service field is one of the few fields that has changed its meaning over the years. It was and is still intended to distinguish between different classes of service. In practice, current routers often ignore the type of service field altogether. The total length includes everything in the datagram, both header and data. The maximum length is 65,535 bytes. Now the identification field is needed to allow the destination host to determine which datagram a newly arrived fragment belongs to. All the fragments of a datagram contain some identification value. Next comes the unused bit and the two 1-bit fields DF, where DF stands for don't fragment. It is an order to the routers not to fragment the datagram because the destination is incapable of putting the pieces back together again. For example, when a computer boots, its ROM, that is read-only memory, might ask for a memory images to be sent to it as a single datagram. By marking the datagram with DF bit, that is don't fragment bit, the sender knows it will arrive in one piece, even if this means that the datagram must avoid a small packet network on the best path and take a suboption route. Next is MF, which stands for more fragments. In this, all fragments except the last one have the bit set. It is needed to know when all fragments of a datagram has arrived. Next is the fragment offset. It tells where the current datagram the fragment belongs to. Next is the TTL, that is time to leave field, which is a counter used to limit the packet lifetimes. It is supposed to count time in seconds, allowing a maximum lifetime of 255 seconds. It must be decremented on each hop and is supposed to be decremented multiple times when queued for a long time in a router. When the network layer has assembled a complete datagram, it needs to know what to do with it. So here the protocol field tells which transport process to give it to them. Next comes the header checksum field, which verifies the header only. Such a checksum is useful for detecting errors, which is generated by bad memory words inside a router. So this algorithm is useful for error detection at the receiver side. Next is the header checksum, which provides the meaning to the error detection algorithms. Next is the source and destination address field, which indicates the network number and the host number. That means from where the data is being initiated and to where the data is to be transported. So this includes the source address and the destination address. Important, which is of 32 bits and which has these fields. Again, I am repeating the fields. Here the fields are version field, IHL field, type of service field, total length field, identification field, fragmentation offset field. In that DF and MF is there, which indicates don't fragment and more fragments. After that TTL field is there, which stands for time to leave. Then the protocol field is there, header checksum is there, then source address, destination address, and there are some field for some other options. Okay, so this is the IP header structure. Now let's move to the next IP addresses topic. Now to access the network protocol or network platform, we need to understand what are the different IP addresses, what are the commercially used IP addresses, range, and what are the different ranges in IPv4 standard. So here in the diagram, different classes of IP versions are indicated, and in that range of host addresses are also indicated. So as you can see, the IPv4 are classified into 5 classifications. In general, first 4 classes are more used. Here there are classes class A, class B, class C, class D and class E addresses. Now as you can see from the diagram, all of the classes has different ranges of host addresses. First of all, we are starting from the class A address. As you can see in the class A addressing field, first field is of 0 bit. Whenever the first field is of 0 bit, it indicates that this is the class A address. In that, after that, the network is there and then the host configuration is there. 10 bit indicates the class B, 110 indicates class C, 1110 indicates class D, and all ones, that is 4 ones, indicates the class E address. Now, in this variable length of network and hosts are there, which differentiate each classes from each other. If we see the range of host addresses, then for class A addresses, it ranges from 1.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255. Now, IP addresses uses a decimal notation, that means dot notation to separate them. And using this decimal notation, range of each classes are indicated. This dotted decimal notation, for this format, each of 4 bytes is written in decimal starting from 0 to 255. The class A, B, C and D formats allows for up to 128 networks with 16 million hosts each. 16,384 networks with up to 64,000 hosts and 2 million networks. Also supported is multicast, in which a datagram is directed to multiple hosts, and address beginning with 4 ones are reserved for future users. So now let us understand the ranges of each classes, which is important, ranges of host addresses. So for class A addresses, as we have seen, it ranges from 1.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255. That means in this the range is from 1, or else you can say 0 to 127, which includes 128 bits. Then in the class B, it ranges from 128.0.0.0 to 191.255.255.255. This is the range of addresses, IP addresses for class B. Then the next is class C. In this the range is from 192.0.0.0 to 223.255.255.255. Whatever the IP addresses we are using for commercial purposes comes under the category of class C addresses. That means if you see the IP address of your computer, it will be something like this: 192.168.1.13, something like that, or else 192.168.101.1. So starting from 192.168, this indicates the commercial used IP addresses. Then class D addresses has a range from 224 to 0.0.0 to 239.255.255.255. That means in this range, whatever the IP addresses are there, that comes in the category of class D. Then the last is class E, which is reserved for future uses, has a range 240.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. Now these IP addresses and its range for each and every classes are important to understand and important to remember. Now as in these different classes are used for the range of IP addresses, this is called as class pool addressing. That one is also classless routing or classless addressing scheme, in which different classes are not there, but according to the requirement, the network assigns the addresses to particular network. So I hope that IP addresses and the header structure of Internet Protocol is clear to you now. These are the references. Thank you. Thank you for listening. In the next session, we are going to continue with the chapter network layer only, and we will see different addressing strategies for that. Thank you.